Jai Gurudev. Today we will continue with Sikhi-Dhwaja's story. As from here on it's mostly story. I will only stop and explain where there is a little bit of knowledge. Otherwise we will just keep reading the story and it will be read only once. So let us all pay attention. Page 327. Vasistha continued. After spending an hour at that place, the king and Kumbha went into the forest where they roamed freely for 8 days. Kumbha suggested that they should go to another forest and the king consented. They observed the normal rules of life and performed appropriate religious rites to propitiate ancestors and the gods. False notions like this is our home and this is not did not arise in their hearts. Sometimes they were clad in gorgeous robes, at others in rags. Sometimes they were anointed with sandal paste, at others with ashes. After a few days, the king also shone with the same radiance as Kumbha. Kumbha, seeing the radiance of the king, Kumbha, that is Kudala, began to think, here is my husband who is noble and strong. The forest is delightful. We are in a state in which fatigue is unknown. How then does desire for pleasure not arise in the heart? The liberated sage welcomes and experiences whatever comes to him unsought. If he is caught up in conformity or rigidity, it gives rise to foolishness or ignorance. She whose passions are not aroused in the proximity of her noble and strong husband, when they dwell surrounded by a garden of flowers, is as good as dead. What does the knower of the truth or the sage of self-knowledge gain by abandoning what is obtained without effort? I should make it possible for my husband to enjoy conjugal pleasures with me. Having thus decided, Kumbha said to Sikhi-Dhwaja, today is an auspicious day when I should be in heaven to see my father. Give me leave to go, and I shall return this evening. The two friends exchanged flowers. Kumbha left. Soon Kudala abandoned the disguise, went to the palace and discharged the royal duties. She returned to where Sikhi-Dhwaja was, again in the disguise of Kumbha. Noticing a change in Kumbha's facial expression, the king asked, O son of the gods, why do you look so unhappy? Holy ones do not allow any external influence to disturb their equilibrium. Kumbha said, they who, though remaining established in equilibrium, do not let their organs function naturally as long as the body is alive are obstinate and stubborn people. As long as there is sesame, there is oil. As long as there is the body, there are the different moods also. He who rebels against the states that the body is naturally subject to cuts space to pieces with a sword. The equilibrium of yoga is for the mind, not for the organs of action and their states. As long as the body lasts, one should let the organs of action perform their proper function, though the intellect and the senses remain in a state of equanimity. Such is the law of nature to which even the gods are subject. Very important. You will say that after getting liberated, one should not indulge in sex, or one should not indulge in other body activities that the rest of the samsara is indulging in. Now there is a difference between indulging and letting nature take its course. Two different things. Indulging happens from that state of mind which is drawn by vasana, that does not let nature take control, but instead takes control of nature on account of his vasana. That is indulgence. On the other hand, a sage, a saint, somebody who is enlightened could also be married. Such a person, does he not indulge in sexual intercourse? But what about the signals of nature, like the seasons evolve and go round in cycles? With the season, the body has certain sexual urges which come up on account of nature and then they go away. The sage, the saint, the liberated one does not suppress anything. Yes? At the same time, he does not indulge. So just like anger from an external source, hatred from an external source, anything from the external environment like rain and snow or sun does not shake the equilibrium of the saint. Even the sexual urge that arises naturally on account of the cycle of nature should not shake the equilibrium of the sage, which means if nature commands something, he does it, but he does not indulge. If the body is doing an action, he is just a witness to the action. Do you see this? Yeah. So here they are married. They are a couple. Yes. And on account of nature, there will be sexual urges that will arise and fall. So here all that Kumbha is saying is that the one who suppresses these urges is stubborn and is not going with the flow. Even the cycles of nature direct the flow. So one must go with the flow. Very clear this page is? Yeah. The important point to highlight here. Those who, though remaining established in equilibrium, do not let their organs function naturally as long as the body is alive, are obstinate and stubborn people. As long as there is sesame, there is oil. As long as there is the body, there are the different moods also. Very clear? This means that body has different signals and different moods, and mind has different signals and moods. We are not giving into the mind, but we are letting the body run its natural cycle. And he who rebels against the states that the body is naturally subject to cuts space to pieces with a sword. Very beautifully described. Yeah? Can you cut space with a sword? You cannot. Yeah? So basically it's a futile exercise to even try to suppress something, that which is the flow of nature. Again, many people can really take this and extrapolate knowledge and say, oh, I am indulging every day and night in pornography and being with only sexual passions, and this is the cycle of nature. No. Yeah? You will have to really discipline yourself and increase your awareness to that level where you can observe the difference between a feverishness or a desire in the mind and a natural urge of the body. These two are two different aspects of your existence. Homework number 1. Do you realize the difference between these two? Yeah, this is very important that one must recognize when there is just a natural urge of the body on account of nature and when there is feverishness in the mind. Yeah? Only such a person can walk this path. Going ahead from this point on, the path has razors. You're walking on the razor's edge. It is sharp, it is painful, it is difficult, it requires a lot of awareness. So don't fool yourself that you have reached that stage. But somebody who has reached this stage in this book at this point of enlightenment will be able to understand exactly what has been stated here. He will learn to differentiate between a desire in the mind and a natural urge in the body. And the stubborn one will be the only one who will suppress that urge and start thinking that he has reached brahmacharya, or that ultimate realization where celibacy happens naturally. Yeah? Do not fool yourself. Do not be stubborn. Just learn to recognize the difference. Become so super sharp and aware of the urges in the body and in the mind. Yeah? Take this up as a goal. The equilibrium of yoga is for the mind, not for the organs of action and their states. Yeah? Reproductive organs will have their own states, and yoga is not for those organs of action. Yoga is for the mind, where the mind is not shaken from its center, where it is always in equilibrium. As long as the body lasts, one should let the organs of action perform their proper function, though the intellect and the senses remain in a state of equanimity. Such is the law of nature to which even the gods are subject. Homework number 2 for you. Can you let the organs of action perform their proper function with the intellect and senses remaining in a state of equanimity? Check for yourself. Yeah? This can apply in many different situations. You check, can my senses maintain their equanimity while the organs of action are doing their own job? We'll move on to page 328. Kumbha continued, Now, O king, please listen to what misfortune has befallen me. For if one confides his unhappiness to a friend, it is greatly ameliorated, even as the heavy and dark cloud becomes light by shedding rain. The mind also becomes clear and peaceful when a friend listens to one's fate, even as water becomes clear when a piece of alum is dropped into it. After I left you, I went to heaven and performed my duties there. As evening approached, I left heaven to return to you. In space, en route, I saw the sage Durvasa flying in haste to be in time for his evening prayers. He was clad, as it were, in the dark clouds and adorned with lightning. This made him look like a woman rushing to meet her lover. I saluted him and said so in fun. Enraged by my impudence, he cursed me. For this insolence you will become a woman every night. I am grieved at the very thought that every night I shall become a woman. It is indeed a tragedy that the sons of God, who are easily overcome by lust, thus suffer the consequences of insulting holy sages. However, why should I grieve? For this does not affect myself. Sikhidwaja said, "What is the use of grief, O son of the gods? Let come what may, for the self is not affected by the fate of the body. Whatever be the joy or sorrow that is allotted to one, it affects the body, not the indweller. If even you yield to grief, what about the ignorant people? Or perhaps, while narrating an unfortunate incident, you are merely using appropriate words and expressions." This is a very important paragraph. You got the story part in the previous paragraph. What is the use of grief? Let come what may, for the self is not affected by the fate of the body. You recognize this. Whatever comes your way only as the fate of this body, but it does not affect the self. The self is centered, untouched, unblemished. Whatever be the joy or sorrow that is allotted to one, it affects the body, not the indweller. This body is just like a garage, and the car of the self is parked in the garage. It's just an indweller. Whatever sukha, dukkha, pleasure, pain will come will only affect the body, not the indweller. If even you yield to grief, what about the ignorant people? Or perhaps while narrating an unfortunate incident, you're merely using appropriate words and expressions. Vasistha continued, "Thus they consoled each other, for they were inseparable friends now. The sun had set, and the darkness of the night was creeping on the earth. They performed their evening prayers. Soon Kumbha's body began to show a creeping change. Fighting back his tears, and in a choked voice he said to Sikhidwaja, 'Alas, see, I feel as if my body is melting away, and that it is pouring down on earth. My chest is sprouting breasts. My skeletal structure undergoes changes appropriate to a woman. Look, dress and ornaments appropriate to a woman spring from the body itself. Oh, what shall I do? How shall I hide my shame? For I have truly become a woman.' Sikhidwaja replied, 'Holy One, you know what there is to be known. Do not grieve over the inevitable. One's fate affects only the body, not the embodied one.'" This is again something that needs to be underlined. Do not grieve over the inevitable. One's fate affects only the body, not the embodied one. Ask yourself, have you reached this realization that dukkha only affects the body and not me? Kumbha also agreed, "You are right. I do not now feel any sorrow. Who can defy the world order or nature?" Thus conversing, they went to bed, slept in the same bed. Thus Kudala lived with her husband as a young male ascetic during the day and as a woman at night. After a few days of such companionship, Kumbha, that is Kudala in disguise, said to Sikhidwaja, "O king, listen to my submission. For some time now, I have been a woman by night. I wish to fulfill the role of a woman at night. I feel that I should live as the wife of a worthy husband. In the three worlds, there is none who is as dear to me as you are. Hence, I wish to marry you and enjoy conjugal pleasure with you. This is natural, pleasant, and possible. What fault is there in it? We have given up both desire and rejection, and we have total equal vision. Hence, let us do what is natural without desire and aversion. This is a very interesting paragraph again, where you would say, oh, but they are enlightened, they are liberated. Yeah? Again, they are just following the law of nature. They are letting the organs of action just act in their own natural way, because they both have given up desire and rejection. You get it? You just can't give up desire and say you have attained Advaitam. No. You will have to give up rejection also. Both, when you give up both and you are centered, when it does not matter, come what may, then only can you say you're liberated and you are in the center, that you are in Advaita. So not just desire, but even rejection needs to be given up. And this is actually a test. She's testing whether he has given up rejection also. It's very clear that he has given up desire, but rejection is the tougher nut to crack. Sikhidhwaja replied, "O friend, I do not see either good or evil in doing this. Therefore, O wise one, do what you wish to do, because the mind rests in perfect equilibrium. I see only the self everywhere, hence do what you wish to do." Kumbha replied, "If that is how you feel, O king, then today itself is the most auspicious day. The celestial bodies shall witness our wedding." Both of them gathered all the articles necessary for the wedding rite. They bathed each other with holy water in preparation for the sacred rite. They offered worship to the ancestors and gods. By this time, the night time had arrived. Kumbha became transformed into a lovely woman. He said to the king, "O dear friend, now I am a woman. My name is Madanika. I salute you. I am your wife." Sikhidhwaja then adorned Madanika with garlands, flowers, and jewels. Admiring her beauty, the king said, "O Madanika, you are radiant like Goddess Lakshmi. May we be blessed to live together like the sun and the shadow, Lakshmi and Narayana, Shiva and Parvati. May we be blessed with all auspiciousness." The couple themselves tended the sacred fire and performed the nuptial rite in strict accord with the injunctions of the scriptures. The altar had been decorated with flowery creepers and with precious and semi-precious stones. Its four corners were decorated with coconuts, and there were also pots full of holy water of the Ganga. In the center was the sacred fire. They went round the fire and offered the prescribed oblations into it with the appropriate sacred hymns. Even while so doing, the king frequently held Madanika's hand, thus revealing his fondness for her and his joy on that occasion. They then circumambulated the sacred fire thrice, performing what is known as the Lajja Homa. Then they retired to the nuptial chamber, a cave specially prepared for the occasion. The moon was showering cool rays. The nuptial bed was made of fragrant flowers. They ascended this bed and consummated their wedding. Page 330. As the sun arose, Madanika became Kumbha. Thus this pair lived as friends during the day and as husband and wife during the night. While Sikhidhwaja was asleep one night, Kumbha, or Kudala in disguise, slipped away to the palace and discharged the royal duties there and quickly returned to the king's bedside. For a month, they lived in the caves of the Mahendra mountain. They then roamed in different forests and migrated from one mountainside to another. For some time, they lived in the garden of the gods known as the Parijata forest on the southern slopes of the Menaka mountain. They also roamed the Kuru territory and the Kosala territory. After they had enjoyed themselves in this manner for a number of months, Kudala, disguised as Kumbha, thought, I shall test the maturity of the king by placing before him the pleasures and delights of heaven. If he is unaffected by them, surely he will never again seek pleasure. Now, the test for the earth plane is completed. He has risen beyond desires of this earthly world and rejection of this earthly world. Yeah? But the pleasures of heaven are so tempting that even somebody who can easily drop the desire of this earthly world might have the desire for a heavenly pleasure. Yeah? So let's see how she tests him on this particular aspect. Having thus decided, Kudala created by her magic powers the illusion in which Sikhidhwaja saw the chief of the gods, Indra, accompanied by the celestials standing right in front of him. Unruffled by their sudden appearance, the king offered them due worship. Then he asked Indra, Pray tell me that, what have I done to deserve this, that you have taken all this trouble to come here today? Indra replied, Holy One, we have all come here drawn irresistibly to your presence. We have heard your glories sung in heaven. Come to heaven. Having heard of your greatness, the celestials long to see you. Pray, accept these celestials' insignia, which will enable you to traverse the space even as the perfected sages do. Surely, O sage, liberated beings like you do not spurn happiness that seeks them unsought. May your visit purify the heaven. Sikhidhwaja said, I know the conditions that prevail in heaven, O Indra, but to me, heaven is everywhere and also nowhere. I am happy wherever I am because I desire nothing. However, I am unable to go to the kind of heaven which you describe and which is limited to one place. Hence, I am unable to fulfill your command. But, said Indra, I think it is proper that liberated sages should suffer to experience the pleasures allotted to them. Sikhidhwaja remained silent. Indra was getting ready to leave. Sikhidhwaja said, I shall not come now, for now is not the time. Having blessed the king and Kumbha, Indra and all his retinue disappeared. So you see, he was not even tempted by heaven. He said he desires nothing. Yeah? And heaven is everywhere and nowhere. Basically, he did not really give importance to a place called heaven, which mere mortals like us might give a lot of importance to. So this itself proves that he had risen to a level which was beyond pain and pleasure, beyond joy and sorrow. Page 331. Vasistha continued. After withdrawing that magical display, Kudala said to herself, Luckily, the king is not attracted by temptations of pleasure. Even when Indra visited him and invited him to heaven, The king remained unaffected and pure like space. I shall now subject him to another test to see if he is swayed by the twin forces of attraction and repulsion. That very night, Kudala created by her magic powers a delightful pleasure garden and an extraordinarily beautiful bed in it. She created a young man physically more attractive than even Sikhidhwaja. There, on that bed, she appeared to be seated with her lover in close embrace. Sikhidhwaja had concluded his evening prayers and he looked for his wife Madanika. After some search, he discovered the secret hiding place of this couple. He saw them completely immersed in their love play. Her hair encircled him. With her hands, she held his face. Their mouths were joined to each other in a fervent kiss. They were obviously very excited with passionate love for each other. With every movement of their limbs, they expressed their extreme love for each other. On their faces danced the delight of their hearts. The chest of one was beating against the chest of the other. They were utterly oblivious of their surroundings. Sikhidhwaja saw all this but was unmoved. He did not wish to disturb them and so turned to go. But his presence had been noticed by the couple. He said to them, "Pray, let me not disturb your happiness." Let me stop the story here for a moment and ask you a question. Have you reached that stage where you can see your beloved in somebody else's arms and not get shaken, not be overcome by jealousy and hatred and a sense of dejection or depression? Ask yourself this question. After a time, Madanika came out of the garden and met Sikhidhwaja, feeling ashamed of her own conduct. But the king said, "My dear, why did you come away so soon? Surely all beings live in order to enjoy happiness, and it is difficult to find in this world a couple who are in such harmony. I am not agitated on this account, for I know very well what people like very much in this world. Kumbha and I are great friends. Madanika is but the fruit of Durvasa's curse." Madanika pleaded, "Such is the nature of women, O Lord. They are wavering in their loyalty. They are 8 times as passionate as men. They are weak and so cannot resist lust in the presence of a desirable person. Hence, please forgive me and do not be angry." Sikhidhwaja replied, "I am not at all angry with you, my dear, but it is appropriate that I should henceforth treat you as a good friend and not as my wife." Kudala was delighted with the king's attitude, which conclusively proved that he had gone beyond lust and anger. She instantly shed her previous form as Madanika and resumed her original form as Kudala. That was her last test. Homework for you. Have you gone beyond lust and anger? If not, can you start working on that aspect within you? Page 332. Sikhidhwaja said, "Who are you, O lovely lady, and how did you come here? How long have you been here? You look very much like my wife." Kudala replied, "Indeed, I am Kudala. I myself assumed the form of Kumbha and the others in order to awaken your spirit. I myself also assumed the form of this small illusory world with all this garden, etc., which you just saw now. From the very day you unwisely abandoned your kingdom and came here to perform austerities, I have been endeavoring to bring about your spiritual awakening. It is I, assuming the form of Kumbha, who instructed you. The forms you perceived of Kumbha and others were not real. And now you have been fully awakened and you know all that there is to know. Vasistha continued. Sikhidwaja entered into deep meditation and inwardly saw all that had happened from the time he left the palace. He was delighted and his affection for his wife increased greatly. Coming back to body consciousness, he embraced Kudala with such fervor that is impossible to describe. Their hearts overflowing with love for each other, they remained for some time as if in a superconscious state. Sikhidwaja then said to Kudala, "Oh, how sweet is the affection of a dear wife, which is sweeter than nectar. To what discomfort and pain you have subjected yourself for my sake. The way in which you have redeemed me from this dreadful ocean of ignorance has no comparison whatsoever. Tradition has given us several great women who have been exemplary wives, but they are nothing compared to you. You excel them all in all the virtues and noble qualities. You have struggled hard and brought about my enlightenment. How shall I recompense you for this? Indeed, loving wives thus strive to liberate their husbands from this ocean of samsara. In this they achieve what even the scriptures, guru and mantra are unable to achieve on account of their love for their husbands. The wife is everything to her husband, friend, brother, well-wisher, servant, guru, companion, wealth, happiness, scripture, abode, which is vessel, slave. Hence, such a wife should at all times and in all ways be adored and worshipped. My dear Kudala, you are indeed the supreme among women in this world. Come, embrace me again." Vasistha said. Having said so, Sikhidwaja again fondly and fervently embraced Kudala. So here, once Sikhidwaja realizes that it was his wife doing it out of her love for her husband, he was full of gratitude. Yeah. A wife can go out of her way to take care of the material and the samsaric needs of a husband, but somebody who helps her husband to get enlightened is something else. She has reached a stage which even a guru, a mantra, and scriptures are unable to achieve. Yeah? So he is totally indebted to Kudala. Let's continue the story on page 333. Kudala said, "Lord, when I saw that you were performing meaningless austerities, my heart was greatly pained. I relieved myself of that pain by coming here and striving to awaken you. It was indeed for my own joy and delight. I do not deserve any praise for that." Sikhidwaja replied, "From now on, may all the wives fulfill their own selfish ends by awakening their husband's spirit as you have done." So all you wives out there, may you become as selfish as Kudala. Kudala said, "I do not see in you now the petty cravings, thoughts and feelings that tormented you years ago. Pray tell me, what are you now? In what are you established? And what do you seek?" Sikhidwaja replied, "My dear, I rest in that which you within me bring about. I have no attachment. I am like the infinite, indivisible space. I am peace. I have attained that state which is difficult even for the gods like Vishnu and Shiva to reach. I am free from confusion and delusion. I experience no sorrow nor joy. I cannot say this is nor the other is. I am freed of all coverings and I enjoy a state of inner well-being. What I am, that I am. It is difficult to put into words. You are my Guru, my dear. I salute you. By your grace, my beloved, I have crossed this ocean of samsara. I shall not once again fall into error. Kudala asked, in that case, what do you wish to do now? Sikhidwaja answered, I know no prohibitions nor injunctions. Whatever you do, that I shall know as appropriate. Do what you think appropriate, and I shall follow you. Kudala said, Lord, we are now established in the state of liberated ones. To us, both desire and its opposite are the same. Of what use is the discipline of prana or the practice of infinite consciousness? Hence, we should be what we are in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, and abandon the one thing that remains after this. We are the king and queen in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end. The one thing to be abandoned is delusion. Hence, let us return to the kingdom and provide it with a wise ruler. Sikhidwaja asked, then why should we not accept Indra's invitation to heaven? Kudala replied, O king, I do not desire pleasure nor the glamour of a kingdom. I remain in whatever condition I am placed by my very nature. Highlight that. I remain in whatever condition I am placed by my very nature. Here, what is nature? The flow. Wherever the flow is taking me, I am happy, I am glad to be just there. There is no additional desire to do anything other than what is. What is, is. When the thought, this is pleasure, is confronted by the thought, this is not, they both perish. This is pleasure and this is not. Yeah, they both perish. I remain in that peace that survives this. This is very important. This is pleasure is confronted by the thought, this is not. They both perish and I remain in that peace that survives this. Contemplate on this. This is a very important homework for you to contemplate on. The two liberated ones then spent the night in conjugal delight. Vasistha continued. At daybreak, the couple arose and performed their morning duties. Kudala materialized by her thought power a golden vessel containing the sacred waters of the 7 oceans. With these waters, she bathed the king and crowned him emperor. She said, may you be endowed with the luster of the 8 divine protectors of the universe. In his turn, the king re-established Kudala as his queen. He suggested to her that she could create an army by her thought power. She did so. Headed by the royal couple, mounted on the most stately elephant, the entire army marched towards their kingdom. On the way, Sikhidwaja pointed out to Kudala the various places associated with his ascetic life. They soon reached the outskirts of the city where they were given a rousing welcome by the citizens. Assisted by Kudala, Sikhidwaja ruled the kingdom for a period of 10,000 years, after which he attained nirvana, liberation like a lamp without oil, from which there is no rebirth. Yeah? The final liberation is nirvana, after which there is no rebirth. So even as a Jivan Mukta, he spent a period of 10,000 years. After enjoying the pleasures of the world, because he was the foremost among kings, and after having lived for a very long time, he attained the supreme state, because in him there was but a little residue of sattva. Even so, O Rama, engage yourself in spontaneous and natural activity without grief. Arise, enjoy the pleasures of the world and also final liberation. Thus have I told you, O Rama, the story of Sikhidwaja. Pursuing this path, you will never grieve. Rule as Sikhidwaja ruled. You will enjoy the pleasures of this world and attain final liberation too. Even so did Kacha, who was the son of Brihaspati, the preceptor of the gods. Yeah? So we will stop here today and we will continue with the story of Kacha from next week. I gave you a lot of homework today, so see that you do your homework. Yeah? Until next week, Jai Gurudev.